Hello friends, my name is Shanti Dugar. I have about 30 years of corporate finance experience working in India, Southeast Asia and Australia for a multinational conglomerate. In this video, I would like to present the concepts of risk and return, portfolio optimization theories and diversification. The video will cover the basic concepts of risk and return, the risk measurement through behavioral and statistical measures, which will be explained through separate videos. Then return of a portfolio, how it gets calculated. The risk of a portfolio using covariance and coefficient of correlation, how it gets measured. And then how risk and returns are calculated in a multiple asset portfolio model. Then what are the possibilities to minimize the portfolio risk and determine the optimal weights of securities in a portfolio. And then finally, we will look at the modern portfolio theory developed by Harry Markowitz, wherein we will understand the concept of systematic and unsystematic risk, the concept of efficient frontier and capital market line, capital allocation line, and Sharpe ratio and alpha. So let's understand the risk and return basic concepts. The value of any assets which you pay, for example, for shares, bonds, or debentures, mainly depends on the expected returns from that asset and the risk you assume by holding that asset. So, any investor who buys any asset will require some extra return on that asset to hold that stock to carry that higher risk over and above the risk free rate of return. So that extra return over the risk free rate of return is called risk premium in finance terminology. And this risk premium is basically a motivation factor or the extra return he will expect to carry that risk over the risk free rate. So let's see, return is calculated in two ways. The first is the dividend yield, which is basically the annual income from the investment divided by the beginning price, that is the dividend yield. And second component of return is the capital appreciation, which is closing price of the shares or security minus the beginning price divided by the beginning price. So when we add these two together, we get symbolically as dt plus p pt minus pt minus 1 divided by pt minus 1. So here this part is basically the dividend component of the yield, and the second part, which is this portion, is basically a capital appreciation portion of the return. So when we combine this together, we get a total return or average return on the investment or from that asset. So when we assign the probabilities on various outcomes of return, we can calculate the weighted average return on the investment. For example, here R bar is the average return and RI is the return of the ith outcome of the asset, and PR is the respective probability. So when we see this, R bar is equal to expected return of the asset or investment. RI is the return of the ith possible outcome. PRI is the probability associated with the ith outcome, and N is the number of possible outcomes considered. So now let's understand the risk. What is risk? Risk can be defined as variability of actual return. When we say variability of actual return versus the expected return, when you earn lower than your expectation return or higher than expectation, it basically causes uncertainty, and that uncertainty or that variation from the expectation is called the risk. And that risk is, in financial terms, the greater of that variability is either on higher side or lower side compared to the expected return, the more riskier the asset or investment is called, because the investors doesn't want the variability compared to their expectations. So how do we measure that risk? There are two ways. One is the behavioral measures of risk, which is basically the sensitivity analysis and profit probability distribution, and the second, which is more scientific and mathematical formula driven, is the statistical measures, which I will be explaining briefly. Portfolio is a combination of two or more assets or securities. Normally, investors don't put the investment only in one single asset. They have group of assets or multiple assets put in the portfolio. So when we have to calculate, when you combine these two or more assets in portfolio, their return profiles is simply the weighted average return of all the assets in the portfolio. However, so which we can put it here in the statistical formula like this. The return of portfolio is basically RP equals to summation of WI times RI, where WI is the proportion or weight of the investment of the asset in that total investment, and RI is the expected return of the asset, and N is the number of assets. So when you use this formula, you can calculate the weighted average return of a portfolio. Now, how to calculate the portfolio risk? It is not the simple aggregation of weighted average variance of individual assets in the portfolio, but there is a also factor which is called covariance between the returns of assets in the portfolio, which has an important role to play to calculate the overall risk of the portfolio apart from the weighted average variance of the individual assets in the portfolio. So we can express this in a statistical formula like that this is the risk of the portfolio, overall risk weighted average, which is basically the W1 squared times sigma 1 squared, which is the risk of the portfolio asset 1 in the portfolio. This is W2 squared times sigma 2 squared, which is the risk weighted average risk of the asset 2 in the portfolio. And the third component which is added here is basically the covariance impact of asset 1 to asset 2, which is calculated like using 2 times W1 times W2 times covariance between 1 and 2, and we can the last portion of this equation, which is the covariance here, can be replaced by correlation between asset 1 and asset 2 times sigma 1 and sigma 2, because covariance of asset 1 and asset 2 is equal to this number. So if we replace this correlation coefficient here in this formula, the equation changes to this. The rest of the equation remains same as before. Yeah. Now let's understand. So from this we can say that variance of a portfolio or the risk of a portfolio is comprising of three factors. One factor is the variance, which is very important, of each asset in the portfolio. The second important factor is the proportion or relative weight of each asset in that portfolio. And the third one is the covariance between the returns of two assets in the portfolio. So when we add all these together, we reach to the total portfolio risk. Now, up to now, we have seen only two asset portfolio. Let's see how do we calculate when there is a multiple assets in the portfolio. So calculating expected return of a multiple asset portfolio is simple, because you have to just simply take the weighted average return of all the assets in comprising in that portfolio. So symbolically we can write this is weighted average of asset A, weighted average of asset B, and weighted average of asset C. And if there are more assets, we can simply say the weighted average of individual assets will be the total portfolio return. So it's very simple. However, the risk of multiple asset portfolio is becomes more and more complicated as you add the number of assets. Why? Because you have to add the individual assets portfolio risk variance, plus you have to add the covariance between each of the asset. So for example, if there are three assets, let's say A, B and C, so the portfolio risk will be variance A plus variance B risk plus variance C, and covariance between A and B, covariance between A and C, and covariance between B and C. So all these have to be added together to get the total portfolio risk. So let's see this within a formula here. So here this is the portfolio risk sigma p squared, which is basically here the risk emanating from portfolio A, from asset A, let's say. This is the risk emanating from asset B, and this is the risk emanating from asset C, and we are multiplying by the respective weight of individual asset in the portfolio. And then this component is the covariance impact between asset A and B, which is basically 2 times WA times WB times covariance. This portion is the covariance impact of asset A and C, and the last component is the covariance impact of asset B and C. So when we add all together, we get the total portfolio risk of the multiple asset portfolio. So how do we minimize the portfolio risk? Are there any strategies or methods by which we can reduce the portfolio risk? So a good portfolio manager can definitely do this by changing the relative weight or proportion of investment under certain conditions only. So when I say he can manage the portfolio risk or reduce the portfolio risk, I mean that he can maximize the portfolio return for a given risk, or alternatively he can minimize the portfolio risk for a given return. So by doing that, basically he is maximizing the difference between the portfolio return and portfolio risk. That is called project portfolio optimization. So when there could be four scenarios from emanating out of this discussion, where we can say that portfolio risk becomes lower than the risk of individual assets comprising in the portfolio when you mix in such a way that can be combined. Then second thing is that if the correlation coefficient, which is described as rho, moves from +1 to -1, the portfolio standard deviation reduces for given weights. That means as long as the correlation between the assets comprised in the portfolio reduces, the overall portfolio risk also reduces for the given weights. If weight remains constant, then overall portfolio risk will reduce. The third conclusion what we can draw from this is that when assets have less than perfect positive correlation, that means rho is less than 1, coefficient of correlation is less than 1, then there are certain portfolio mix combinations which will give efficient results than others. So that means could be some combination which are more efficient than others, or it will reduce the portfolio risk at the same time increases the portfolio return. And the fourth conclusion which can be drawn from the above is that for given coefficient correlation, there is a minimum variance or minimum risk portfolio. The minimum risk portfolio has a lower standard deviation than that of either of the individual assets in the portfolio. So now let's understand how it is done, and there are how to calculate the optimum weight of assets in a portfolio. So optimum asset in a weight can be calculated by this formula. This is very important formula, and one should understand this, how it is derived. So weight 1 of star. So this is weight 1, optimum weight of the asset 1, which can be derived by sigma 2 squared minus correlation between asset 1 and asset 2 times sigma 1 and sigma 2, and this whole thing is divided by sigma 1 squared plus sigma 2 squared minus 2 times correlation between asset 1 and asset 2 times sigma 1 and sigma 2. And when we have the optimum weight of asset 1, we can easily calculate optimum weight of asset 2, which is nothing but 1 minus optimum weight of asset 1, because weight of asset 1 plus weight of asset 2 is equal to always 1. So now let's understand diversification. Diversification is a strategy where two or more assets are combined in the portfolio to reduce the unsystematic risk in the portfolio. I will explain what is unsystematic risk subsequently in this presentation. The degree and direction of correlation between returns of assets have a significant impact on reduction of a portfolio risk through diversification. So there could be three scenarios of coefficient of correlation. First scenario is that two assets are perfectly positively correlated. That means P equals to plus 1. If that is the case, then whatever mix of combination or proportion of weight you give to any asset, there will be no impact on the risk reduction of portfolio, because both the assets will move in the same direction. So there will be no optimization possibility here, and simply it is a risk return trade-off. That means higher the risk, higher the return. No optimization possibility there in this scenario. So here the portfolio risk will be simply the weighted average variance of individual asset in the portfolio. So which is here, this is risk of asset 1 and this is risk of asset 2, and when we multiply with the respective weight, we get the total weight of the portfolio, total weighted average risk of the portfolio. So this can be also simplified and written like this: sigma p equals to W1 times sigma 1 plus W2 times sigma 2. Now let's see scenario 2. Scenario 2 is just opposite to scenario 1 when there is a perfectly negative correlation between the two assets. So that means the rho is -1 or coefficient of correlation is -1. In that case, what happens? By combining two assets, you are basically reducing the overall portfolio risk because they move in a different direction. So if one security price goes up, other security price goes down. Similarly, if first security price goes down, other security price goes up. So by a mix of combination of two assets, you are able to reduce the overall portfolio risk. And there could be some optimum mix where the total portfolio risk can be even reduced to zero, or it can be completely eliminated. So in this scenario, what is the total portfolio risk is simply the risk of asset 1 minus risk of asset 2, because they act counter to each other. So when we reduce the risk of asset 1 to risk of asset 2, we get and do the weighted average of the mix of the asset in the portfolio, we get the total portfolio risk of such nature. It can be also written like this: sigma p equals to W1 times sigma 1 minus W2 times sigma 2. So in this case, if we solve this equation, and we know here that W2 is nothing but 1 minus W1. So if you replace W2 with 1 minus W1 here, so we get the optimum weight of W1, and formula becomes sigma 2 divided by sigma 1 plus sigma 2, and W2 star, which is the optimum weight of W2, is always equal to 1 minus W1 star. So at such optimum level of W1 and W1 and W2, the portfolio variance and standard deviation will be always equal to 0, because that means risk has been completely eliminated at such optimum weight of both assets. Now let's see the scenario 3, when there is no correlation between the two assets. That means coefficient of correlation is 0. If there is a 0 correlation between the two assets, that means both assets are totally independent and they don't have any relationship or dependency or in each other. So in that case, the portfolio risk is simply the total weight of both assets multiplied by the respective variance of that assets. So we can simply say sigma p equals to sigma W1 sigma 1 plus W2 sigma 2. Now let's see what is the diversification and which kind of risk can be tackled through diversification. So as I said, diversification is a strategy whereby two or more assets are combined in a portfolio without compromising the quantum of return. So when this is done, this is called diversification, and that helps in reducing the risk when there is a less than perfect correlation. If there is a perfect correlation, it does not help, as I shown you earlier, because in that case the risk also increases with the, not increases, but with the variability of that asset in the portfolio, it will tend in the same direction. So there are two types of risk in the market. One is systematic risk, another is non-systematic risk. Systematic risk pertains to the risk which is associated with the overall market and which affects all the securities equally. And this cannot be reduced or eliminated through diversification. So this is also called non-diversifiable risk or market risk. On the other hand, there is risk which is specific to any asset or any firm, that is called non-systematic risk, and this risk is the one which can be eliminated or reduced through diversification to some extent under the certain circumstances which I will be explaining. So here this is depicted graphically. If you see here, here on x-axis is the number of stocks in the portfolio. So, and on y-axis is the risk, portfolio risk. So the first dotted line here represents the systematic risk or the market risk, which cannot be eliminated or reduced by whatever number of portfolio you add to the, whatever number of stocks you add to the portfolio, it remains constant. The second dotted line is the total risk of the market, where we can see, and the difference between the second dotted line and the first dotted line is the unsystematic risk. So here, when diversification is zero, there is no diversification, so total risk is here. And as we increase the number of stocks in our portfolio, the unsystematic risk keeps on reducing, and it reaches to a level, total risk reaches to a level to touch almost the systematic risk, and below which it cannot go, because systematic risk will always be there irrespective of whatever number of stocks you add into the portfolio. So this is how the diversification works, to only eliminate the unsystematic risk of the portfolio. Now let's understand what are the kind of diversification. One is naive diversification, whereby the investors just chooses the stocks in random, and he doesn't apply any mathematical modeling, or he doesn't do any kind of analytical thinking or scientific research before adding the stocks in his portfolio. He just acts on his gut feeling, and he believes in the common parlance which says, don't put all eggs in one basket. So that is called naive diversification as a strategy to reduce the risk. The another kind of diversification which is based on modern portfolio theory, which has been given by Markowitz, Harry Markowitz in 1952. It's called Markowitz diversification, and he has given a mathematical model which was popularly known as Markowitz theory, that attempts to maximize the expected return of a portfolio for a given amount of risk, or we can say in other words, which minimize the portfolio risk for a given amount of expected return. So which I will be explaining later in this presentation. So Markowitz diversification is also called the concept of efficient frontier. So let me explain this graphically. Here these are the dot points here. This is the point which is lowest risk for a given level of return. Now if you go below this, the returns comes down and risk increases. So this is not efficient. The portion below this point is not efficient, and the portion above this is efficient, because here the return is increasing and return to risk ratio is increasing here, if you see here. So this is called efficient portfolio or efficient frontier line. And anything below this line, all portfolios are inefficient, because they give lesser return relative to the risk what they are assuming. For example, here point A is giving lower return compared to this point, and having higher risk compared to this point. So this is inefficient portfolio mix here. So like that we can depict. This can be also depicted in this manner. So this is the low risk, low return quadrant, and as we go up, this is medium risk, medium return, and this is high risk, high return. And any portfolio above this line is not possible because it doesn't exist. You cannot generate extra return over your efficient portfolio, and all the asset mix below this line is called inefficient because they give higher risk for a given level of return, or they will generate lower return for a given level of risk. So all the portfolio falling on this frontier is called efficient frontier. So let me explain this another way. This is the efficient frontier line, blue line, and the dotted blue line is not efficient because if you see here at this point the return is here and the risk is here, and below this the risk remains same but returns reduces. So this dotted blue line is not efficient portfolio. Only the bold blue line is falling under the efficient frontier curve. And these all individual dots which we see here are the risk return trade-offs of individual assets which is falling below the efficient frontier. So that means these are inefficient because it generates higher amount of risk for a given level of return, or other way we can say that the return level is low for a given level of risk. So they are called inefficient portfolio mix. Now let's understand the concept of capital market line. What does it mean? So capital market line is the line from risk-free rate of return through the tangent of efficient frontier. So let me explain what is tangent here. So this blue line is the efficient frontier line, and this line which is starting from risk-free rate of return and passing through the M and goes up to L is called the CML, capital market line, and M is the market portfolio where the sigma M, which is the risk of the market, intersects with the expected return of the market. So that point is called market portfolio, and this is also the tangent. So the capital market line always passes through the risk-free rate of return through the tangent like that. And this slope is calculated by a formula x divided by y, where x is the difference between expected rate of return versus the risk-free rate of return, and y is the risk, which is basically denoted by sigma m. So when we do expected rate of return minus risk-free rate of return divided by sigma m, we get the slope of this capital market line. Now there is a concept of capital allocation line. When you mix two assets, one is the risky asset, another is the risk-free assets in a portfolio, the total expected rate of the portfolio changes. So the formula for calculating the reward to variability ratio, that is capital allocation line, is the risk-free rate return plus sigma C, and C is basically the combination of portfolio P and F. P is the risky portfolio and F is the risk-free portfolio. So when you combine these two assets in a portfolio, you get this return expectations. Risk-free rate plus sigma C times expected return from the portfolio minus expected return from the risky portfolio minus the risk-free rate. So the difference between the two is divided by the sigma P, which is the standard deviation of the risky portfolio. So like that we can calculate the capital allocation line. Let's understand what is Sharpe ratio and how it is calculated. Sharpe ratio basically measures the reward relative to volatility. So in other words, we can say it is the return for every dollar of risk taken, and it is the highest at the tangency point. The tangency point what we saw in the capital market line, Sharpe ratio will always be the highest at that point on an efficient frontier. And another conclusion what we can draw is that all the portfolios on the CML will have the same Sharpe ratio as that of market portfolio. So when you plot the portfolio on the CML and calculate their Sharpe ratio, you will find that that will be always equal to the market portfolio. In fact, the slope of CML is equal to Sharpe ratio of the market portfolio. So when we see the Sharpe ratio formula is exactly same as slope of CML, which is expected rate of return from the portfolio P minus RF, which is risk-free rate, divided by the sigma M, which is the standard deviation of market portfolio. So that is called Sharpe ratio. So if we have to calculate this for an example, if an investor holds a portfolio with expected rate of return of 12%, so ERP is 10%, 12%, sorry, and market volatility is, let's say, 10%, which is sigma M, and risk-free return is 5%. So the Sharpe ratio will be 0.12 minus 0.05 divided by 0.1, which will be 0.7. So Sharpe ratio, where it is used, the rule of thumb is that we should buy those assets whose Sharpe ratio falls above the CML, and we should sell those assets whose Sharpe ratio falls below the CML. So that is a practical use of Sharpe ratio in investment world. And any abnormal return earned over the market return, one level of risk is called alpha. So this is all in this chapter. I have created some more videos related to financial management topics and statistical concepts to explain in a very simple manner with examples. So if you like, you can refer to those videos to understand those concepts in more simpler way. Thank you very much. If you like this video, or if you want some more explanation, or want to have some discussion, interactive session on one-to-one basis or group sessions, you may contact me at this email address dugat.shanti68@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Bye.